Hey there, Stampers. This is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada. And I am here to share 2 fun fold cards that were cased from some swaps that I received. And I'm going to recreate them using the Everyday Arches bundle. This is a bundle that will be available beginning January 7th, 2025. It's such a great bundle. I love these arch dies. I think these are so versatile. And then there's a great set with lots of different types of greetings for various occasions. And then there is also some pattern paper to go along with it. It is called, I think it's called the Everyday Skies DSP. It's a 6x6 paper pad. And let me just do a quick flip through. So you've got some kind of sky scenes on one side and then some more generic patterns on the back sides. So pretty. Lots of variation in colors in this paper pack, so you can mix and match with lots of different colors. And then there are some great embellishments that go along with it as well. These are called the two-tone sparkle gems. So you can see that they're kind of got like a bluey green and a purple, a pinky purple in there. So pretty. All right, so let me share the 2 cards that inspired the cards that we're going to create today. So this one is a swap that I received. It is called, I believe it's called an interlocking gatefold card. So, and it kind of opens like this and then closes like this. And there's a couple different ways that you can do this. So I noticed that on this swap, she cut, this is actually coming apart here, but she cut 1, 2, 3, 4 hearts. So 1 from pink, 1 full one from white, and then 2 more full ones from white where she scored down the center. And then these 2 are kind of folded and they hold these 2 together. So they hold the front one and the back one together. So then it just slides on. This was attached, I believe. And then this goes in here. So that is one way that you can do that. I'm going to show you a simpler way that you can do this. But that's one of the card folds that we're going to do, and then we're also going to do a version of this card fold as well. So let me share a little peek at the cards. So here is the first one. So it opens like that, and then this gets tucked in here like that, and then this one here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with this one here. So we are going to pull in a piece of white cardstock that measures 5.5 by 8.5, and we're going to score it at 2 1/8 of an inch from both short ends. So I'm going to score it at 2 1/8 here, and then I'm going to rotate it around and score it at 2 1/8 of an inch here. And then while we've got our paper trimmer out, we're going to choose our pattern paper. So I'm going to use the same one that I used on my sample. I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to cut it at 5 1/4 inches. And then rotate it again back this way, and I'm going to cut 2 pieces that measure 1 7/8. So we'll have 2 pieces that measure 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. I will have all of the measurements for these 2 cards in the corresponding blog post that goes with this video, which I will link in the description below. Okay, I think we are done with this. We're going to set these 2 pieces aside. We'll bring these in. I'm going to line these up so that my patterns are correct. So they go that way. We're going to fold along the score lines. And then when I do this fold, I like to make sure that these line up right, they butt up right against each other. So sometimes the fold overlaps if you just go ahead and fold it right along that score line. But by lining them up so they line up perfectly, then you can make it fit so that they butt up right against each other without overlapping. Okay, now we're going to bring these pieces in, and this one will go on the left. And then the other one will go on the right. So, and we'll have about an 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. So I did adjust my measurements slightly from the samples that I received, or from the swaps that I received. So on the heart swap, the gatefold heart swap, her layer is embossed rather than DSP, and it's just slightly larger. So I wanted a little bit more of that white showing all the way around the edges. So isn't that pretty, just like that? Okay, and then what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've cut some arches. So this is from a different pattern paper from the same pack. And I cut, I believe it was the fourth, nope, the third, yeah, no, the fourth, I grabbed the wrong one. The fourth largest arch die. So I die cut that from that pattern paper. And then I also die cut from some Azure Afternoon DSP. So that is one of the blue shades that's in the pattern paper. I die cut the third smallest arch die. So I went ahead and die cut those. We're gonna do a little bit of stamping on this one. So in this stamp set, there are a couple images. So there's a couple airplanes, there's a hot air balloon, some birds, and then this little image here. We're gonna use the hot air balloon and we're gonna stamp tone on tone. So I'm gonna bring in some Azure Afternoon ink. And I'm gonna stamp the balloon 3 times. So just like that. And I just realized that I forgot to cut one of my pieces. Okay, so we need to cut an extra one that is this size. So I'm gonna grab the fourth largest, and I'm gonna grab some Azure Afternoon cardstock. And I'm just gonna give this a cut. I'm just gonna be off camera for just a second here while I do this. So you need 2 of the same size. Okay, so doing the fold, the interlocking gatefold this way allows you to use any sized or any shaped die. This way works really well with hearts, probably would work really well with circles. So anything where it's symmetrical, so this where you can kind of score it in half and it's going to be exactly the same when you fold it. But by doing it this way, it's a little bit simpler and it allows you to use any shape. Okay, so now I'm going to do a little bit more stamping. I'm going to take the You Are Simply Fantastic stamp from the Everyday Arches stamp set. I think if you are a scrapbooker, this is a great bundle for scrapbooking. Not only are the greetings great for scrapbookers, many of them are anyways, but the arches, there's so much you can do with these arches for scrapbooking. Okay, so now I'm going to line it up or position it where I want it. Carefully place it down and stamp. Okay, and then I'm going to take the Hello, also from this stamp set, and I've got a little scrap of white cardstock. Stamp this on here like that, and we'll trim that down in a minute. But now we're going to go ahead and start assembling. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to use some dimensionals, but I'm only going to put dimensionals on the side that is going to attach here. Okay, so and I am going to be fairly liberal with my dimensionals. Peel off the backing. And then we're going to position this on here so that it will only be adhered to the one side. We don't want to stick it down to both sides because then we won't be able to open our card. So I think that looks good. And then I'm going to open it up And I'm going to use, I'm pretty sure I used dimensionals on both. Yes, I did. Okay. I'm going to use dimensionals. I'm going to flip this over and only put dimensionals on this side. So we're basically we're creating like a little pocket for this flap to kind of slide into. And that's what's going to hold our card closed. And then this is going to get lined right up with this piece here and stuck down on this side. So now this will hold it closed just like that. Okay, so now we can finish off the rest of our card. So I'm just going to add some multi-purpose glue on here. And then this piece is going to go in the center, and I'm kind of positioning it so that I have a nice even border around here. That looks good. And then I've taken some of this white ribbon. So this is, did I pull out the ribbon? This is the white woven ribbon, and I just wrapped some baker's twine around it and tied a bow. We'll use a mini glue dot to adhere this. I'm going to put it right about, let's do it right about there. That's going to stick this on. And then we can trim this so it's a little bit shorter. We'll use a mini glue dot on the one side that's going to sit on top of the knot. And then we'll use a dimensional on the other side. And this is just going to sit right over top of this. Just like that. All right, and then we'll finish this off with some of our gems. And there we go, there's our card. So I had a scrap piece of this DSP left, so I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna add that to the inside of the card as well. You could actually let's take, we have this strip left from when we cut the panels for the card front. So I'm just gonna add this on here so that we can see a little bit of that peach. So we'll layer these up. This is a great way to use up some of those scraps that we always have left over when we cut into our pattern paper. Trim this down and then we'll add this to the inside. And there we go. So there is card number 1, a simple interlocking gatefold card using the Everyday Arches bundle. Okay, so there's card number 1. All right, now card number 2. So this doesn't require a whole card front, like a card base. We have this little flap, which gives us lots of room to write a message on the inside. So this one does stand up. Well, when it's not on something slippery like this, it does stand up, but it leans forward a little bit. So this is the type of card that if you've got a little stand that you can stand it on, this is a great way to, that's a great way to display that card. Okay, so we're going to start by adhering our pattern paper. So again, I chose a pattern from this paper pack. So I am using the back side of this one. So I'm using this pattern here. I cut these strips. Again, you can find the measurements in the blog post that is linked below. So I love receiving swaps because swaps are a great way to get some inspiration. So I didn't have to come up with these ideas. I just grabbed a couple swaps that I thought would be fun to recreate using different products. So it takes some of the design work out. I still had to come up with some ideas on what I wanted to use and how I wanted to use the product, but I didn't have to come up with the card layouts. All right. Okay, so we've got that. So this is a piece of bubble bath cardstock. The base is actually 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So you can get 4 bases out of one sheet of 8 1/2 by 11 cardstock. And then this piece is 4 by 5 1/4. So just a little bit smaller. Okay, and then we've got a piece of white cardstock. I believe this was 3 1/2 by 7 3/4, and then I just scored it in the center, which would be 3 7/8 of an inch. And then I added another layer, and this I embossed using the So Swirly die, or not die, embossing folder. So this panel is just a little bit smaller than this, so we'll see a little bit of a border. And we'll add some adhesive on here. Pop this in the center. So you'll just have a really, really thin border all the way around the edges. And then this piece is going to go on here, and that is the card base. Just make sure your opening is at the bottom. That's going to go on here like that. I'm centering it so that I have an even panel of that pattern paper on either side. Okay, all right. And then here I've gone ahead and I've die cut some things. So let me share what I've die cut here. Okay, so I think I used the fourth largest, and then the third smallest. So I die cut those, and I didn't go all the way to the end because we're going to trim this so it's a little bit smaller. And then for this, I cut some of the pattern paper, and I used this one, so the third smallest, and then I did, I think it's the smallest on the inside here. And then from the leftover piece that was in here, I die cut this piece. Okay, so those are the dies that I've used to die cut those, just to save a little bit of time. And I'm going to grab a scrap piece of white. So we're going to do some stamping on here, and we'll do all of our stamping now. So this time I'm going to do the Know You Are Loved greeting. So this would make a great non-traditional Valentine's Day card. You could stamp Happy Valentine's Day on the inside. Or if you just want to send a card to let somebody know that you're thinking of them, that you love them. So I'm inking this up with some Memento ink, and I'm going to stamp this on here. And I want to try to make sure that this is straight, where the words start and end is straight. I think that looks good. Okay, there we go. And then on this white piece, I'm going to stamp So Very Much. All right, I can put this away. And this piece, I actually went ahead and I fussy cut that. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this again, I just used a scrap of this piece of pattern paper. So I'm just gonna feed this in here. Make sure it's straight, or somewhat straight. And I'm gonna snip this so it's even. Okay, and then this piece, I'm going to do the same thing inside of this one. So I'll position that in there. And this one's a little bit bigger, so I think I might just take a pencil with this one. Let me grab a pencil, and I'm just going to mark it and then cut it straight across. I could measure it. The thing, I can't adhere these to this layer because I'm not lining them right up with the bottom. So I want them all to line up with each other. Okay, that That looks good. We'll just do a pencil here and a pencil here. And I'm just going to use snips just to line up those marks. You can use your paper cutter as well. Okay, so now we've got all of our pieces that we need. We're going to add dimensionals to this one. And dimensionals to the back of this one. And I'm using mini dimensionals. They fit perfectly on here. And then we're going to use flat adhesive on this one. Okay, so let's adhere this one first. So we're going to create kind of like a little rainbow. So these dies would be perfect for creating a little rainbow on a scrapbook layout or on a card. You could do them in rainbow colors, in rainbow order. Wouldn't that be fun? You create your little arches. Actually, a friend of mine made me a bookmark using these dies, which I thought was really fun. And then this guy's gonna go on flat. That's gonna slide right in here. Just like that. This would make a really cute baby card as well. Okay, and that's gonna go in there, but before we do that, we're gonna tie a little bit, we're gonna tie a bow with some baker's twine. If you watch a lot of my videos, you know that I love baker's twine, linen thread, or pulling apart my ribbon just to add a little bit of fiber to my projects. All right, that looks good. We'll trim off that end. If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for watching. If you are not yet a subscriber, hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And if you are enjoying this video, make sure that you give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. All right. I'm gonna trim some of these edges here and put a dimensional here, and another little bit of a dimensional on this side because it's gonna hang over the knot or the center of our bow. Okay, we'll move this out of the way. Pop that on there like that. And we'll finish it off with some of our gems. Let's use a big one. All right, and there we go. There's our second fun fold card using the Everyday Arches bundle and the Everyday Skies DSP, and then these gems. So these products, if you are watching this video the day I post it, then these products are not yet available. They will be available beginning January 7th, 2025. And I will include a full supply list in the description below, many of which will link back to my website. And if they aren't yet available, then I'll put the product numbers and the product numbers, the names and the product numbers in that supply list as well. All right, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fabulous day. Take care.